Welcome to the Retail Doctor Group 12 Tips to Fit Christmas Retailing. Over the next 12 days, Peter Shepherd, our Head of Implementation at the Retail Doctor Group, is going to share his tips and tricks to maximising sales over this busy Christmas period. Welcome, Peter.
Hi, Sylvia.
Looking forward to chatting with you. Today, we're going to kick off with tip number 1. And over the next 12 days, we'll share with you loads of more tips. Tip number 1 is merchandise principles. And Peter's going to share with us the key areas to look out for to maximise retail sales. So to kick off, Peter, could you talk us through the 80-20 principle of merchandising, please, when we think about the retail space?
Sure, Sylvia. And it's such an important time of the year that we have to get the front of our store correct, because there people are walking past stores trying to decide what to buy, either for themselves, for use in home, or for gift giving. So they're looking for inspiration. So the front of the store, the 20% of the front of the store, is to be used to do two things. One is to stop people, attract them into the store. And the second thing is to sell, sell, sell. So the 80-20 principle might be overstating it in some cases, but the 20% of the store at the front that is exposed to all the wandering eyes has to sell the vast majority of your merchandise, or certainly attract people into store. It's even more important than it is for the other 40 or 45 weeks of the year, because people need to be brought into your store and you need to vie for their attention. So that front, that 20%, needs to accommodate 80% of your volume.
So Peter, how do I work out what those 20%, the 20% of product, how do I work out what that looks like? How do I work out my 20%?
Hopefully you would have done that when you set out your buying plans, because you would have based that on perhaps some history, perhaps trends, perhaps new items in the market. But at the end of the day, if you haven't got 20% of your number of items in depth, you're not going to maximize Christmas. So you might have just 1 in 5 of your products that you're selling are your real deep quantities. That decision should have taken place some time ago. It's not a question of what should I be putting in the front. You should know that from your buying plans.
And what about being responsive over the next 4 weeks? So what if of the products that belong within that 20% range change because customer behaviors change, patterns change? Should I be responding and changing what belongs in that 20% from week to week?
We should be checking our sell-through as often as daily if need be, but really people and shopping patterns and shopping demographics do change. So at the beginning of December, let's say on December 1, you've got the majority of women shopping, particularly in shopping centers. And men, like myself, will probably leave it till the 24th of December and run out and say, oh, what shall I get for my wife or my kids or my what have you? But men generally shop later. That's to be borne in mind. Grandparents also shop early. So if you're in the toys or the juvenile area, make sure that you're appealing to the grandparents in the early parts of the month, then the parents, and then the fathers.
Right.
It's a strange phenomenon that we men have. We leave everything to the end.
I think I fall into the category of men, Peter, because I haven't started my Christmas shopping yet. And tell me, in terms of knowing your locations within the store, if I've got 20% of my product in the front of the store, should I then have them displayed in other parts of my store as well?
In most cases, if you can have them where they normally live, within the store, but outposted to the front so that you're getting double exposures. But if you just think of a supermarket, The gondola ends in a supermarket are their hotspots. But because they've got Coca-Cola at the end of that aisle, doesn't mean to say that they don't have Coca-Cola amongst in the drinks aisle. So you are getting double exposure to your high volume items.
Yeah. And you've just touched on something, my final question to you, in regards to this 80-20 principle. Does it relate to all categories? So you've mentioned the supermarket category there, and we sort of touched on fashion. Is that relevant to all categories?
The 80-20 is not necessarily those percentages. It could be 60-40, it could be 70-30, depending on your category. But in general, in speaking, you've got about 20% of your range is going to give you 80% of your volume. And so that's what's really worth monitoring. And if you see something coming up as a strong seller, give it air, give it space, give it exposure.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Well, that wraps up today. Thank you, Peter, for your time.